And really it's this reassurance. I mean, maybe that's a whole nother word for covenant, is just reassurance. It's God's reassurance that he's always with us, and always much closer than we might imagine. Famous quote from way back in the day was this beautiful quote that said, God is closer to us than we are to ourselves. And I think there really is a lot of wisdom to that idea, that God is closer to us than we are to ourselves. And we're going to look a little bit at that today. So part of this idea, we've been looking at the Abrahamic covenant, the idea, this is ancient covenant, by the way, thousands of years old, that idea that this comforting acknowledgement that God will always be with us no matter what, and that this gets passed on generation to generation, no small thing there. And it's a beautiful concept. And it's the idea, friends, that heaven and the human experience are not that far apart. There's actually some simpatico relationship there. In other words, there's a compatibility, there's a sympathy, there's a back and forth constantly. And I was talking with my stepson about this last night, and we kind of know that, right? Like, there's just parts of our language that are just rife with it. If we've had a really good day or a really good experience, we'll talk about, oh, that was so heavenly, because it was. We know that. We know that is the experience of heaven. As well as the opposite. When something feels hellish, we'll be like, oh, it just felt like hell. Well, it felt like hell because it felt like hell. Literally, we know what that experience is as well. And one of my favorites is when we ask if someone was in good spirits. I mean, what does that mean? Well, I think it goes back to this idea. We know we're around angels and guardian angels. And yes, those things are very true, and they're very, very much part of our life experience. Most people don't talk about guardian angels in public, polite company. But the reality is most people believe in that. I certainly do. And it's always fun to just guess, like, well, who are your guardian angels? And you probably have a pretty good idea of that, and it's probably pretty accurate, I would imagine. So I want to talk a little bit about this simpatico part here and the significance of it. And this is a line for the book Secrets of Heaven that's talking about that. It's talking about how this covenant, this connection, this reassurance that goes on and on and on, a lot of it comes down to this connection with angels, or maybe facilitated by it or supported by it. You could use a bunch of different words there. We can think in unison with heaven's inhabitants, in other words, with angels, even though our thoughts are extremely vague and obscure. Heavenly angels, which are that's the highest level of angels, who have genuine faith, look at the inner content from the standpoint of goodness and think, yes. Spiritual angels, on the other hand, look at it from the standpoint of truth. And it's this beautiful idea that we have these different connections and we have different ways that that angels are with us in our lives. And one of them is like the highest angels. And here, like, even to say a highest angel sounds a little strange. It's not really accurate, but we'll just use it because that's the way we would use it in this life. The angels who really get it, they're coming from love, and their simple way of responding, and this comes right out of the Bible, is let your yes be yes, let your no be no. They just know stuff, and folks, right? You know those. I guarantee you have somebody really loving in your life who just, you can come to it all like, whoa, life is crazy, and my head's swimming, and what do I do, and and they very come like, oh, we'll do this. And they're very inevitably very loving people. And that's because very loving people are extremely clear and can be very, very insightful. And because they're just not, like, worry isn't as much a part of their MO as it is for the rest of us mere mortals. And then we have the other perspective, sort of a lower level angel. And again, really would not want to use that phrase, but we'll just use it as an appearance. Lower level angels who come from the truth side of things. They come from the book, they want to know the rules, and they're sort of coming from that perspective. So we have this synergy between coming from a love orientation, coming from a rules orientation, that the two kind of go together. You need both, just try driving in a country with no driving rules and you'll realize, yeah, rules are a good thing. And love is always what's the most significant. So what does this mean in terms of our life experience, friends? Well, I think what it means in terms of our life experience is that part of the covenant is we can just breathe and get that angels are with us. And it's just this gentle acknowledgement. I would be really, really careful. I'd be a little unsettled if somebody came to me and said, Chuck, my guardian angels told me to play this lottery number last night. I've never heard of that working, and I'd be really careful with that kind of thing. I think we do get this sense of these nudges in certain directions. This, oh yeah, there are angels around me, and that's both literal and spiritual. I mean, I think all of us, we could go around and I could say, who are the angels in your life, and you would be able to list them. And I think we all have that sense, and it comes down to this. Maybe this is the takeaway for today. Very, very simple takeaway, which is just trust the nudge, because that's how heaven connects with us. It's not there to take away our freedom. It doesn't show up in big explosions or thou shalt nots. I mean, most of the time, 99.999% of the time, it doesn't. I'm sure maybe it does for some people some of the time in extreme circumstances. But most of the time, angels, it's like the wind. It's just very gentle. It's a very gentle interaction, and it's a very gentle way of being with, and it's a very simpatico thing. I mean, we kind of know it on our heart. Again, even though in our culture today, which is so westernized and scientific, talking about angels can be cringeworthy in some circles. I think we need to recapture some of that, and recapture not the cringeworthiness per se. I don't mean that, but this idea, yeah, angels are all around us. I remember hearing somebody talk who was a very famous academic, and they were smiling. This is somebody who is a Christian, and they were smiling hearing this one professor who happened to be I think a Benedictine monk, if I remember right, and. Was it Benedictine? I forget which particular order they were from. And he just was talking about angels like it was the most real thing ever. And the guy found it such a relief. And that maybe we can recapture some little parts of that and just understand the simpatico relationship. And again, it means coming back again and again to that heaven now. Like really try to live heaven now. Pay attention to those nudges. When we're in that space, when we're in that flow, lots of good things are going to happen. And even the challenging things that happen in life, we'll just be able to hold on to a little bit of a higher perspective as we move forward in life. So that's the thought for today, friends, on simpatico. Trust the nudge. There you go. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little breath. After we take a breath, we're going to listen to the prayer bell. Listen to the prayer bell. We're going to do a little Old Testament meditation, a prayer, the Our Father prayer from the New Testament, and then back to the Old Testament, looking at the ancient Levitican blessing, which is indeed quite beautiful. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends. So I'm going to be glancing over here at Facebook. And again, we're just take a look at any comments folks make, and you're welcome to make them live. Again, we get a lot of archived comments, which is wonderful to hear as well from folks in terms of what they are thinking that way as well. Let me just get this refreshed a little bit. All right, so that one didn't quite work. Again, some days it's all a little persnickety some days, as they would say. There we go. Melissa, good to see you joining us, and good morning to you as well. Gabriella says, good morning. I often feel the nudges. Thank you for this gentle reminder to notice the nudges. And that's what it is. Like, it's all, the angel stuff, it's all really gentle, which I love. Good morning. It's comforting to know God is always with us. And it really is, Linda. I mean, it's such an incredible blessing. And Marcus, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you are doing quite well. Let's see if we got anything over here real quickly. Nope, nothing else there. All right, dear friends. Well, just wishing you guys all the very best.